PJ's in there, and he's like, "What does big up mean?" Big up. Is it? Do the Americans know what big up is? No, I'm getting like no. So big up means to just make it bigger, but inflate it, make it better than what it is, hyping it up. Yes. So that's either going to be for good reason or bad reason. We'll find out in the next few minutes. So the origin of Word of the Year actually started back in 2020, well, the end of 2021, when Phil got a few of our speakers together and did a bit of a training session, and we had a little pot. Do you remember? Yeah. Yeah? No? Okay. Phil had a little pot with some little... It's not that kind of message, people. Yeah, an actual physical pot with words in it. And we had to pick one out, and we had to pick a topic. And our topic, we had 7 minutes to do a little mini message on. So I drew out words, which is very exciting, because I'm a library manager. I love... It is exciting. Words are exciting. I love words. I love reading. I am a bit of a geek, and that's fine. So I was trying to get inspiration for this message. So words that I could choose a book, I could choose a specific scripture, I could choose. There's so many words. Like, how do you pick one particular thing? So what I did was I follow, because I'm a bit of a geek, and JP, it's so funny you brought up dictionaries this morning, because I do love, the Word of the Year is actually based off the dictionaries. Yes. So there's several dictionaries that do a Word of the Year every single year. So we've got the Oxford Dictionary, which is the one I'm going to be choosing some words from today. We have the Merriam-Webster edition, and also Cambridge. Cambridge only started doing it the last 2 years. I think they didn't want to look like they were copying Oxford when they started doing it, but they're back on the bandwagon now, and they're doing it. So why did they start doing it? They decided to choose a Word of the Year, one to potentially add a new definition to the dictionary, but also words throughout the course of the year. Some gain popularity, some lose popularity, some words are coined in a year. We actually create a word, something completely different. So what Oxford wanted to do was look back at the year, look at social history, look at what's happened in the world, look what's popular, and decide to pick a word. So there's so many words in the world. Words can be really powerful. Words can shape emotions, they can shape futures, when one word can describe an entire year. So is anyone else a bit of a geek and knows what the Word of the Year is? Is it? You do now, okay, good, you're gonna learn something this morning. So does anyone know or can take a guess? So the Oxford Word of the Year started in 2004, so we've had 20 years of words. So in 2004 was the very first word chosen. And can anyone decide what that momentous first Word of the Year could possibly be? Have you seen my message notes? Are you cheating? It is chav. So 2004, the Word of the Year was chav. So for those of you who don't know what chav is, we've got a nice visual representation. You'll see lots of them around Thetford. I'm from Thetford, I'm allowed to say it. I actually had that Kappa jacket, so when I was at school. I also had an Elise fleece. Does anyone else have the Elise fleece? Is that me and Sally? Yes, it's definitely me and Sally. She is ginger. There's a theme here, JP. So yeah, the momentous first Word of the Year. It does coin. We still know what it is today. Yeah, chav. So then, 2005, it's a little bit more educational this time. Some of you might still do them if you get a newspaper or a little puzzle, but 2005 was Sudoku. Who loves a Sudoku? You'd love to love a Sudoku. And then, so I thought it was a bit better. It's a bit more educational, using numbers. 2006, however. Bothered, also on the chavvy theme. This really was me at school. I was more like that with the hoop earrings and the short tie. Sally's not in the room, but she will vouch for it. See, face bothered. Bothered, not bothered, bothered, with 2 V's. Very specific. Tony, don't. So then we move on a little bit more. So we'll go to 2007 and 2008. These aren't as exciting, so we're just going to have them in word format. We had carbon footprint. That's far more serious. And we've got credit crunch. We love a credit crunch, don't we? Lots of those. 2009 was very iconic. Simples. Again, this many years ago, and you can already... It's thumbs up. 2009 was Simples. Does anyone know who in the room does not know what Simples means or what that little meerkat is doing on the screen? Several. It's basically... I don't want to say the website because I don't want to endorse them unless they want to give us, some monetization for it. But it is in fact car insurance. It's a website you can compare your car insurance, and they've made it Simples. Yeah, I know. Compare the meerkat. So moving on to 2010, we had Big Society. 2011, Squeezed Middle, whatever that means. And 2012 was Omnishambles. Does anyone know what Omnishambles means in the room? Does anyone make a guess? You'd be good at this. Tony's good at guessing, but he knows the answer. A mess, yeah. A mess. Lots of messes that make one big mess, and it's usually in relation to politics. So, yeah, be that as it were. Okay, we're getting a bit more modern now. Nearly 10 years ago, so 2013, we've got Selfie. Yeah, lots of people know Selfie. 2014, Vape. Yeah, they're still around, aren't they? Yeah, 10 years on. And I'm confused. I'm a millennial. So this was not a crying emoji to me. This is the laughing emoji to me. Laughing, crying with laughter. Everyone's agreeing with me. So why is it not called laughing, crying emoji? Why is it just called crying emoji? It's too long for word of the year. But yeah, it's not even a word this year. This year, 2015, they decided that actually it was so iconic to just have an emoji to describe the word of the year. Okay, moving on. 2016. We're going to whiz through quickly because I'm sure you're getting bored of these words. So we've got 2016, which is post-truth. 2017, Youthquake. Nora was very excited about Youthquake in the back. 2018, Toxic. That's not as nice, is it? We don't know. It's not funny. It's not positive. I'm not keen on it. And 2019, Climate Emergency. So I feel like they're trying to change the tone as the years go on and try and make it a little bit more serious. And then we come to 2020. You don't need to put this one up yet, Nora, unless you already have. Oh, you've done it. Oh, no, it's fine. That's my fault. I didn't tell you. It flashed up quick. There were lots of words on the screen then. So 2020, yeah, that was a year, wasn't it? Does anyone remember 2020? Lockdown, COVID, vaccines, home. So they decided they couldn't pick a word, one single word to describe 2020. So we do have words of an unprecedented year. Yeah. Couldn't pick one, so let's just pick all of them. And then we get to 2021, which is when my research kind of stopped, because that was the year that I was looking at. And 2021 was, on the COVID theme, was vaccinations, vaxathon, vaccines, So I'm looking at, I was trying to get inspiration for this message, and I was like, I don't like any of these words. This isn't good. I don't want to start here. I actually don't want to look back on 2021 and 2020, particularly 2021. I don't want to just think of it as a vaccine year. Like that's not what I want my year to be. So my 2021 wasn't great, to be honest. Not just for vaccines and COVID reasons. And there's a personal story that I'm not going to talk about because it's not mine. I was just part of a story. But at the end of 2021, it sucked. It wasn't good. Word doesn't even describe it. It was a really, really terrible year. And I thought, if I wanted to look back on my 2021 and pick a word for that year, what would I pick given everything that we've gone through? Because I didn't want a vaccine. I wanted something else. And it sounds a bit cheesy, but I chose love because there was a lot of hurt that year, but actually when there's a lot of hurt, that's quite often because there's a lot of love going around. If you care, it hurts. So I decided to choose love. So I couldn't decide what to write my message on for this little mini message series that I did. So as this wasn't giving me much inspiration, I decided to go to the Bible, which is, whoa, we're in church. Let's look at words in the Bible. And there are a few scriptures on words that really spoke to me, so I'm just going to quickly read those out for you. So we've got Ephesians 4:29, which says, "Do not let unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen." We've got Proverbs 10:19. It says, "Sin is not ended by multiplying words, but the prudent hold of their tongues." Matthew 12:36-37. "But I tell you that everyone will have to give an account on the day of judgment for every empty word they have spoken. For by your words you will be acquitted, and by your words you'll be condemned." And then the one that really spoke to me, and it's in the Message version, and we've got it on the screen for you now, which is Proverbs 18:21. And ultimately, this is what I decided to build my message on for today. It says, "Words kill, words give life. They're either poison or fruit. You choose." And I loved that because I didn't want to choose any of those words that Word of the Year had plunked in my lap and told me that was what they felt my year summed up. So we know words are powerful. We know words of an unprecedented year. It takes you right back to what happened that year. So we know how important they are to look back on a year. But as I wrote this message, it was at the end of November, beginning of end of November. So I actually spoke it at the beginning of January in 2022. So I decided I wasn't going to just look back and pick a word. I was like, I'm just going to make a declaration. I want to pick a word that's going to be the word that I want. I'm going to speak it over my life. I'm going to look at it. I'm going to choose it after a challenging year. It was pants. I don't want to do it again. Let's choose a nice word. And I couldn't think of one. I was like, this sounds like a great idea, doesn't it? Let's choose a word. All the words you've got in the world, what am I going to pick? So I had a little chat with the big man upstairs, as you do. And he dropped in the word fruitful. It's a nice word, isn't it? Fruitful. Who wouldn't want to be fruitful? Fruit is good. It was literally in the scripture that we just talked through. Words kill, words give life. That either poison or fruit you choose. And I wanted some good fruit. So I was like, so what does that mean? What does that mean going through for the next year? So I chose it. We know what the fruits of the spirits are. I almost was going to sing it today because it's the only way I can say them. I think it's built in for me from kids' church. But love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. I have to say it that quickly, otherwise I can't get them all out. But those are the fruits. They're the fruits I wanted for my life. Not just that fruitful, but all of those different words. So I started to speak them. So when I was frustrated with the circumstances that I had upon me, I decided to speak patience. When I was overwhelmed with fear, I chose to speak faithfulness. When I spoke those words, those fruits of the Spirit, over my life, I was planting seeds that I wanted to grow into fruit. And that choice was mine. So every time I came across a situation or circumstance, and I've got a really serious story because we went to Mexico that year, PJ 2022. Do you remember? Yeah? And it's been a dream of mine to go to Mexico since I was about 10 years old. I was really excited. We were going to Chichen Itza or chicken pizza. That's how the Mexicans say it. That's not me. Tour guide told me chicken pizza. We decided to go on this once-in-a-moment trip. This was going to be love. This was going to be joy. This is what I've been dreaming of for so long. And we got on the coach, all 6 of us that were on the trip, along with everybody else. And we started the journey, the 3-hour journey that it took to get there. This nice, lovely, air-conditioned bus. And the bus was getting slowly hotter. And you start to think, am I imagining it? Tony's always sweating, so that's not a good indicator. But everyone's starting to get a bit hot. When everyone's leaning forward like this to try and get as much air surface as possible to every single limb. And we weren't imagining it. We got to about halfway there, and the bus driver stopped, picked up a load of people and said, just to let you know, in case you hadn't noticed, the air conditioning's broken. It's only 40 degrees outside, and the sun on the bus. But don't worry, we're going to see if we can swap the bus out. And So yeah, but we're going to carry on and get to the destination. So I'm looking at Tony. We've got our stepdaughter, Abby, or my stepdaughter, Tony's daughter, Abby, with us, who has the patience of a little thumbnail, let's be honest. Her patience was not good, and I'm struggling. I don't get hot very often, but even I'm struggling in this heat, and I'm like, what am I going to do? This is supposed to be one of the best days of my life. I want to see this trip, and I'm hot and sweaty before I've even arrived at my destination. And when I get there, it's going to be 42 degrees, because they've told us. There's going to be no shade, no breeze, and you're going to have to go around for another hour before getting back on the hot bus again. Doesn't this sound like fun? So fair to say my patience was getting short. Abby, I'm thinking, she's going to melt down. This is what Abby does. She's going to absolutely, lose it. It's not going to be good. But actually, I think Abby had more patience than me on that day. And we had to hold it together. We could have been really angry at the tour guides. We could have been really frustrated with the entire system and how it had worked out. We could have been demanding our money back. We could have been super frustrated, but actually, I wanted to enjoy that moment regardless of the circumstances, regardless of how sweaty and disgusting I was. There's not a single picture of me near Chichen Itza, by the way, because I was not. It didn't look good. No one wanted to see it. But we chose patience. We chose kindness for the drivers. We chose kindness for the tour guides. And I know it's only a little silly thing, maybe, for you to listen to, but I had to choose it in that moment. I didn't feel like it, and that's the most important thing. So, 2022. We also had some joy in 2022 because I'm looking at Lacey in the front row because we found out that Jack and Lacey were expecting Hudson. So that was exciting. That was a lot of joy in that moment. I got to go to Mexico, joy in that moment. We found out PJ was going to be coming and moving back to the UK. Of all the bases in all the world that he could come back to, he ended up back here in little old Thetford. We were really, really joyful. So I chose Fruitful for my 2022. Does anyone know what Oxford Dictionary picked? Was they looked back on the year. This is quite recent, so some of you might. So I chose Fruitful, and Oxford Dictionary of the Year chose Goblin Mode. Nice. What is Goblin Mode? I think it's when you go and rot. Yeah, it probably was me and Chichen Itza, but it's when you want to go rot in a pit. You just don't want to get dressed. I'm gonna get all of the things I need, the food, etc. I'm gonna goblin mode and just hunker down and anyway. So then we moved to 2023 and I'm like, that was quite nice. I was like, I enjoyed choosing that word, so let's have another chat with the Lord. What can we come up with this year? And this year he chose joy, which is very exciting. I was like, joy is good. I was like, I had a lot of joy, though, in 2022. So is this one of those mixed messages where you've got to choose joy, but actually you're not going to have any? Because I didn't really want that one, if that was the case. But no, actually, 2023 was a year pretty much full of joys. We got to see some friends again. We got to travel. I got a metal detector. I'm a bit of a geek, I think I'm realising, but I really enjoyed. We went out metal detecting. I'd find a ring pull, and it's the best thing ever. I'm like, look, it found something. I dug it up. I've got it. It brought me so much joy. I cannot tell you. It was very, very exciting. Obviously, Hudson arrived. Not only were we expecting him, but he arrived on the scene. And to be honest, he probably took over most of our 2023, just spending time with him and with the family. Tony got made redundant. That's not so joyful. Doesn't sound. Probably should have put some context into that before I brought it up. But Tony was made redundant, which doesn't sound like a good thing. But he'd been umming and ahhing. He'd been in this job for a really horrible time, and we'd been encouraging him to look and go somewhere else. And Tony was like, no. Dip my toe in. No, don't feel like it. So God being God, just went, okay, cool. Well, if you don't want to leave, I'm going to make you. So here you go. Have 8 weeks off work. So Tony was made redundant, but actually it was one of the best things for him. And although he maybe didn't feel joy in that moment, it definitely did him the world of good, and we're really pleased for that. And then one very, very tiny little thing to finish off 2023. There's obviously much more than this. I'm just not going to take you through my entire month-by-month diary. But we got to go to Mambo Jambo's at the end of 2023. So Mambo Jambo's is a restaurant in Norwich where it was the first time me and Tony spoke to each other and thought, I quite like him. He's quite nice.
What, this year?
2023. Oh, no, sorry. Context again. That was back in 2009 when we first met at Mambo Jambo's. And it also happened to be the place that Tony proposed to me as well. So we were Christmas shopping. So we decided to go back at the end of 2023 because it's where we first met. It's meaningful to us. So we went to the restaurant. It was freezing cold because they'd got the heating turned off because they couldn't afford it. And we said to her, like, she said, oh, I will turn the heating off. It's just costing us too much money. We're actually moving. And I said, well, that's exciting for you, but it's actually really sad for us because this is where I've got a lot of memories here. Like, I don't like this. She goes, yeah, we're actually closing next week. I was like, what? I can't believe it. So we had some pictures taken, didn't we? Just of where we first sat and silly things. You know, they ran around with us with a camera and took a few photos for us. And it's a really simple thing, but it brought joy to me that I could just had some treasured memories from there for the rest of my life, because I'd have been really sad if I'd found out the next week and couldn't have had a chance to go back. So I chose joy for 2023, but the Oxford Dictionary, and some of you young people are probably going to have to explain this one for me, but they chose Riz. lots of cheers in the room. Does anyone want to explain to me what Riz is? I'll have a go, and then you tell me if you think it's right. So I think of Riz as like charisma. So if someone's flirting with someone else and is giving off good vibes, that's Riz. Yeah, they're all nodding. Okay, yay, got it right. So that is Riz. So 2024. 2024, I had a bit more serious one. I got the word purpose, because I thought this is going well. I'm going to keep this. Let's just keep this going. I chose purpose, and I actually thought we were a bit of a stagnant point with the church, and I thought it was more church-driven because I was kind of lacking in between some of the different ministries I was doing. I was like, I'm going to renew my purpose. That's what it's going to be. But actually, it turned out more to be my work. So I've been in my job for quite a long time. I don't think I'm bad at it. My boss doesn't tell me I'm bad at it, so I think I'm quite good at it. I hope my boss isn't listening, but it doesn't take me a massive amount of brain power to do it. It gets the money I need. It ticks a lot of boxes, but it felt stagnant and weird. But having that word purpose made me kind of look at it again and go, is my career my purpose? Like, do I want to sail up in the ranks and become head of the library service? Not really. No, I don't. I don't want that. Do I want a job where I work not in a library, not with books and not with customers? It didn't make sense to me in my brain. So I was like, how do I find purpose in this? And having been there, it's 20 years this year that I've been in that job. I've done different things in between, but still in that career field. And I've been called upon quite a few times this year to go and visit different libraries and fix some problems, sort some stuff out, help the staff out, help my colleagues out. And I kind of found my purpose in that. And I thought, I'm okay. I'm okay being at this level. I enjoy being it. I can use my experience to help and benefit others. I don't have to use my brain very much, but enough, so I'm not bored. Like, that sounds great to me. I was like, I found purpose in it. And obviously one of the biggest things would be little Hudson. You know, I get to be Granny, which is very exciting for me. Yeah, I love the little thing. He is quite cute. Good. He is quite hard work sometimes. But it's fun and it's rewarding. And that's probably the bigger thing, more than work, than anything. I found purpose and joy in being a part of his little life, and I've kept him alive every Tuesday for a whole year. Thank you again. So I'm sorry, this feels like a bit of a let's hear about Kaylee's life. You know, what's going on? This is a lot of words, Kaylee. So 2024, we're now just at the beginning of 2025. 2024 has finished. So the final word of the year from the Oxford Dictionary. Does anyone know? No. Brat was a good one. Brat was one of the options. Demure. Demure. Why wasn't it demure? So the word of the year for that the Oxford Dictionary chose was brain rot. I love it, the young people. That's obviously where the votes are coming from. Brain rot, doom scrolling, whatever you want to call it, where you just, it feels like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. Can anyone explain brain rot? You just know what it is. Go on, Ruben. Spend too much time on electronics. Doom scrolling. That's exactly, yeah, doom scroll. I get it. Brain rot. So, many of you can probably see where this might be going, that I think it's a great idea to pick a word for your year, to make a declaration. I was going to change the order up, but I won't. I wrote it for this reason. So I'm going to, one more bit about me, and then it's over to you, okay? So, 2025. Again, had a little chat with the man upstairs, kind of give me some ideas of what we could do, and there were lots of words that came into my mind, which is why I go back to JP. You didn't know this, but you talked about your dictionary and you talked about rejuvenate and renew. Well, my word of the year isn't a word this year; it's actually a prefix, the prefix re. So repurpose, refocus, rejuvenate. That's the words that are kind of coming to mind. So. Yeah, lots of different words, not one particular word. I was like, so what does re mean? So I had a little Google, and it means again, or again and again, or to go back. So if you return, you're turning back in a different direction. To be repurposeful, you're doing it again, to be a purpose again. And I don't really know what this means yet. I don't really know how I can declare that over my life. You know, if you do something fun like a roller coaster, you're like, again, that was really fun. That's good. But again can be really boring. Again can be like, no, not that. I don't want that again. So we're going to see. I've told you all what it is. We'll see what it goes out. JP, I don't know. It's so weird that you had that as well. Maybe God's got something up his sleeve. We'll wait and see over the next year. So now my challenge is over to you. Any of you with half a brain can maybe think that was coming, that I'm going to turn it around. So Sally's not in the room today, but after my little mini message, Sally has chosen a word of the year every year that she's spoken over her life. She's found it really useful. So it really is my hope that I would encourage you to do the same thing. So before you look forward, I would suggest looking backwards. So what word summarizes your 2024? I think that's a good place to start. Was it a good year? Was it a bad year? Was there something in it that you were like, do you know what? I had lots of joy that year. I want that again. Let that be my word. You choose. I think that's the main focus of this. You know, and even if you don't believe in God, you know, I had a chat with the big man upstairs about it, but you don't need to. You can still pick a word, regardless. You can still do it. But summarizing is good, but more important is looking forward. So what word will you define your 2025? I don't want it to just be a cute exercise that you're like, oh, that sounds really nice, let's just pick a word. I don't want it to be some New Year's resolution that you forget about. I want it to be something that you declare over your life, a spiritual declaration. You know, let it be prophetic. Let it set your tone for your actions, for your faith, for your attitude as you go into 2025. What word will define your 2025? So choose a word that inspires you. Choose a word that aligns with God's purpose for you. If you're not sure, have a chat with him. Find out what word comes to mind. And then speak it out. Don't just put it there in the back of your mind. Speak it daily. Write it down. If you're like Steph, stick it on a Post-it note somewhere so every time you make a drink in the morning, you see that word coming up. Pray over it. Share it with others. You know, if you've got a word that's already come to mind, come and speak to me after. I'd be really interested to know what your words are. So as Proverbs said, Proverbs 18:21, words kill, words give life. They're either poison or fruit, you choose. So what will you choose for your word of the year for 2025? Let's pray. Lord, I thank you for the gift of words and the power to shape our lives.